Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for Saturday, January 22nd, 2022. We are happy, we are blessed to be here today to get you ready for the divisional NFL weekend. Two games on tap today. We have been talking about them since Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. There was finally a push in the opening game, which we will get to. The Packers and the Niners just sticking steady at 5.5. There is a 5 at Circa, and there is a 6 at the Wynn. So you can do some window shopping if you wanted to, if you're on the Vegas Strip. A boatload of college basketball games today. I mean, a boatload. And historically, I like to say this. If you're just waking up, you had a bad day, you're having a bad week, and you see that there is, let me see here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games at noon, and there's one at 12:30. So you got to get the flow going, and you're like, man, I got to get to that window. There's this action at 12. Let me run to the window, get a couple games in to kind of wet my whistle as we attack this board. More often than not, you start in the day with an L or L's with an S, and then you're not just chasing what you've done for the week. You're now chasing already Saturday. So you get that mentality, and it becomes a chase game. And these are kids, okay, with an S. 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds. Now, maybe the game has changed a little because of COVID, and there's some things that they can't do. But for the most part, we don't know what the hell they did on Friday night, whether they had massive keg parties, whether they were at the library, whether they had a trip to get to the other school in bad weather, whatever. So I, for the most part, always tread lightly at noon. I like to have a clear head. I like our family and clients to breathe, to get up, maybe have that extra cup of coffee. Not that we don't play at noon, please. If the game hits our system, what we like to invest and wager in, then of course we're going to play it. But my whole sermon here today, guys, is just breathe. Okay, just because the game or games are about to tap up doesn't mean we need to dig in. So, with that said, let me bring in my co-host from the Palm Tree State himself, the one, the only, Mr. Scott E. Webb.
Morning, Mr. Jeffrey. How are you today?
Well, you know what? We took we took the night off in hoops. 2-1 on the desk. Shout out to Mr. Lucky. He caught what I was preaching yesterday, Scott. Maryland is a kryptonite team to us. And there's a lot of them, and you have the same. It doesn't matter which way you play them, with them and they lose, against them and they're the best team on the planet. And I specifically said this. The numbers say grab the Maryland. I'm not releasing them. I've been burned way too many times. It's a Friday night, especially. We're going to pass. Well, of course, Maryland goes box to wire and wins by 16 outright.
Well, isn't that the way it always goes? Well, what happened? Something similar with me yesterday in the NBA. I didn't play anything, but I gave out a couple of leans yesterday. I gave out Oklahoma City, Charlotte, under 224. I kept trying to tell you under 221, remember? And it was 224. They moved the line. I was looking at the early number from the morning. And that game, 121-98. So that was 219. So that would have been a winner. And I said Portland, take them plus the 8, and they won outright. So So there was two games that I said were leans yesterday. I didn't play them, but same kind of concept. You know, I just didn't feel it yesterday, so I didn't play them. But those were what the numbers were telling me, and those were the sides and the totals that I wanted to look at. I was a little disappointed, only in a sense that there was a lot of action yesterday in the NBA. I mean, there's, I don't know, 10, 12 games or something like that. So today there's only 3, and each one's double-digit spreads or pretty close to double-digit spreads. I think one's like 9 or something. So today's board's kind of crappy, but I mean, you know, it is what it is. You can always try to find value where you can, and when you find it, you bet it. And maybe I should have advised that yesterday instead of saying they're just leans, but whatever. I mean, I'm 10-6 in the NBA on the plays that I've actually played on here and given out. And I know that I've made out and said, hey, I think on this side or that side or this side or that side. And I think they pretty much won. So it's not like we're not giving you winners. And I will tell you that I am 100% sold on what I'm doing on the NBA with the numbers. The numbers are there, and there's one game today that the numbers tell me to play. But guess who it is? It's goddamn Sacramento, and I can't play Sacramento. Like that, it's the same problem that you have with Maryland. I have with Sacramento. So there you go.
Quick note on the Syracuse jacket to all our newbies here. Yes, I am a UConn season ticket holder for the men's basketball team. Yes, I will be there Tuesday. Fox is covering the game at Gamble. 8:30 tip-off against Georgetown. We will be courtside. Yes, my daughter is wrapping up her 5th year with a biomedical engineering major and a minor, pursuing to be a sports doctor. But my youngest is doing the college tours, and we did take a tour to Syracuse. She fell in love with it. I think that's her number one choice. So, of course, we got some Syracuse gear, and I started talking to some people there. So maybe I turn my UConn season tickets, which is a 2.5-hour trip up, by the way. And when they're playing in Hartford, it's a 3-hour trip up there. And then, of course, the trip back. I couldn't get season tickets, obviously, to Syracuse because that's about 5.5, 6 hours. But maybe I'll turn in my Gamble tickets to the Syracuse Dome tickets. And maybe I'll take Jim Boeheim's coaching job. Everyone wants him out anyways, but that's for another time. I'm going to start here, Scotty. We finally had some movement. We got 2 NFL games today. We've been talking all week. The Titans, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, with a total of 48, 47.5. The return of King Henry. A Bengal team, which is firing on all cylinders, as you would like to say, the number 1 rated quarterback in the game right now, smoking Joe Burrow. I'm not going to play the non-respect card because I think obviously the Titans are getting that. I think the public obviously remembers what they saw last. I still think, all Raider tickets, which didn't cash, I'm still going to say that was the right side, just wrong results. I had the ball inside the 10 with 4 swings until the spike, 3 swings to tie it and bring it to OT. But that was last week's news. It finally got off at 3.5. It is now 4. 4, and we're going to use 47 and a hook for the under-over. South Point has it at 48. As I keep going through these games, I know the chalk came in last week, and we're looking for dogs. I mean, obviously Buffalo can easily win that game against KC. That's a coin toss. As much as I like the Niners, I think the Packers are going to wear them down, believe it or not, and I think the Packers win and cover today. I think the Titans win and cover today. Now, if Joe gets out early, and then you put that ball and the pressure on Tannehill, we got a whole different ball game. But again, that week's rest, I don't think is getting enough talk. And then, the upset that I really think is set to happen, or the most potential is the Rams against the Bucks. And you know what happens when you go against Brady. And now, especially at home in the playoffs, you're going to get egg on your face. But I think that O-line's going to cost them. And I think they're going to get him off his spot. And that, again, is for tomorrow. So with that said, take us away, Scott.
All right. So I'm not going to do tomorrow's games today. I'm going to save those for tomorrow. We'll do what is it? The first game is what? The Cincinnati game, right? So I'm bringing up Mr. Lucky again. He asked us that question. What is true home field advantage in the divisional playoffs? I don't really think he said it that way. He wanted to know what the line really was or what it's worth. And if you go back and over the last 10 years, home field advantage in the divisional round, and that's 40 games, by the way, that I went back and did this research for. Home field advantage is worth 6.7 points. So we'll just say it's a touchdown. So it's worth 7. And if you go back over the last 5 years, it's worth 8 points. It's 7.9. So, so just so you know where my numbers come out on this game, my numbers are 26-20, and that's in favor of Tennessee. And I'm just going to round it up to using these numbers that Mr. Lucky turned me on to, and I'm going to say it's 28-20. Because I think that makes a more reasonable number. I don't know how you scored 26 points in the first place. So 28-20 makes more sense to me, and it really kind of hits the total number, kind of where it needs to be too. So I think the total's in line with where we are. So that's where my numbers are. That's where the game I think is going to play out to, and then you got to go look at the facts to support it. And you got to kind of go from there. So the first thing is the weather, right? So all these games, you got to look at the weather. So Tennessee, I've got all these little websites pulled up here in front of me. So give me just a second. But the weather details in this game says 33 degrees at kickoff. By the end of the game, fourth quarter, 32 degrees. It's going to feel like 29. So there's not much wind. There's not kind of anything. There's no chance of precipitation. Need about 7 more cups of coffee. And so nothing weather related other than it's just going to be cold. So some interesting things that have come up, and we've talked about some of this stuff and we haven't talked about some of this stuff. So number one, I think Tennessee coming off a bye week's a big deal for Tennessee. I think number two, head coach Vrabel is a much more suited leader in this job role than what head coach Taylor is. So in doing further research about Taylor, I would say that he's more like the Seattle head coach. He is very conservative. He wants to run the ball first, and heaven forbid if he has to pass and use Joe Burrow. Now, he will do that probably more readily than they will in Seattle. He's not so dead fast that he won't. But that's his MO. That's what he wants to do. He wants to run the football. And they have a good running back. But here's the deal. Their offensive line is on running plays. Now, this is not pass blocking. This is running plays. Running plays, they are graded 31st out of 32 teams. So it's hard to have a running game when you don't have a really good offensive line. So the problem comes in is that Tennessee on defense against the run, well, let me go flip to a different screen here. I got my basketball stuff up. So they switch off, and over the last, I don't know, since week 10, against the run, Tennessee's number 4 in EPA. And they are number 1 on success rate against the run. So I don't think you're going to see the Bengals be able to run the football. Now, last week, they did some things that's a little bit unusual for them, where they did Jamar Chase on a couple like injury, handoffs to him around the end and try to get him in motion to move and do different things. So it was a more creative way to try to get the running game going. I think they're going to find that that's going to be a big issue again today. I don't think they're going to be able to run the football, which makes them pretty much one-dimensional. Of course, as you mentioned and what I've mentioned about 75 times, Joe Burrow is rated the number one quarterback in EPA and CPOE, completion percentage over expected, since week 10. So he has been the best quarterback in the NFL. The drawback to this game, if you're just going to say, okay, Tennessee's going to steamroll this team, is this. Even though Tennessee's been playing well, their defense pass-wise is 13th in the league in the last since week 10, and the defensive success rate is much higher. It's ranked 6th. But they don't have the defenders to match the receivers that Cincinnati does. The truth is,
does anyone?
I was just going to say that. The truth is, there's probably not very many teams that could match up to what they have. So here's where the game hinges. The game hinges on the ability for Cincinnati to pass block. Now, last week against the Raiders, they did okay. This week against Tennessee, I think you got a much different story. So the reason I say that is because the offensive line pass adjusted rate for Cincinnati is ranked 31st in the NFL, again, next to last. So the offensive line is a problem for that team. They probably have more money spent on obviously the position players and haven't invested in the offensive line, and that's what you get. I mean, you get all these great guys that you got to try to get the ball to them, and they don't protect the passer. So Joe Burrow gets sacked a lot. Anyway, that being said, the Tennessee Titans ranked 10th. They're not the best defensive in terms of putting on pressure, but what's interesting about Tennessee is if you go back to last year, they ranked 21st in defense, and this year they ranked 10th. So they have improved dramatically and gotten better and better and better. And a lot of it has to do with the pressure that they've been able to put on the quarterback. So I think you're going to see that the game hinges on the Cincinnati side, whether they can throw the football or whether they can't. And, 20 points is not necessarily a big number for, a team like Cincinnati to get to. But my opinion is that they're going to struggle to get there. Now, having said that, Tennessee's still got to stop the pass. And I think that field position will have a lot to do with that. The score will have a lot to do with that. Because at some point in time, if it gets to a point where it's 10 points, 13 points where they got to score twice, they're going to throw the ball. So the other interesting thing is Tennessee ranks 31st on defense. So they're next to last. They've allowed 20 touchdowns and 188 yards per game to wide receivers. That's not very good. And that's not where you're sitting there going, holy shit, what kind of wide receivers Cincinnati got? Well, they got some of the damn best ones in all the NFL. So that's not a good matchup for Tennessee. So on that side of the football, it really, really matters whether that offensive line can hold up. Because if it can't hold up, that's going to be how Tennessee just dominates the game. So that can keep Cincinnati kind of in the game, if you want to call it that. So Tennessee's in one of those kind of weird spots where they have struggled around a little bit. But when they were on, you got to remember, and I think I don't remember if it was behind the scenes or on the show, they played consecutively 4 straight games against Buffalo, Kansas City, Indianapolis, and the Rams. 3 of those 4 teams are in the playoffs, and the Colts should have been. They just screwed it up. So there's all 4 of those teams, and they beat them, all 4 of them, back to back to back to back. That's Buffalo and Kansas City, who everybody thinks is a better team than what Tennessee is. And I purposely left this up because I remember we talked about this, and I got the graphic now, man. So I want to go back to it. Let me get to when Tennessee has the football. Here we go. All right. So we talked about how dynamic this offense might be when Brown and Jones are on the field together. Now, they haven't been on the field that much together, but here's the deal. So an all Titans game. Now, this is DVOA numbers I'm going to give you. So that's similar to what EPA is. DVOA, all games, they are 20th in football. So that's not the greatest offense in the world, but Henry got hurt and all that stuff. So kind of an effect and a problem there. When Brown is available and Jones doesn't play, they are 16th. When Jones and Brown are on the field together, this is the 8th ranked best offense in all football. And now remember, that can't have been too many times at the same time that Henry was on the field. So I'm going to tell you that this team's going to do some stuff that I don't know if Cincinnati's going to be ready for it. One of the things I remember saying when I kind of previewed this game before was Cincinnati ranks 32nd, dead last against the pass on first down. I think you're going to see Tennessee try to take advantage of that. I think they're going to throw the ball for, if I say 5, 6, 7 yards, whatever it is, and then they're going to run Henry on second down. So I think you're going to see a lot of first down passing, early passing. I think you're going to see a lot of running later. And if they get that 10-point lead where Cincinnati's got to try to come back, I think they'll start pounding the ball, and basically just beat Cincinnati to a pulp. Is kind of how I think it's going to go. So when you think about kind of how all of that kind of plays out, then you bring in this fresh Derrick Henry guy who's 2,000-yard rusher and all that stuff. And I think people kind of forget he wasn't having a super year in terms of he was going to be leading the league in rushing, because if you remember when he started doing that stuff, he got off to a slow start and then just ran the ball like crazy in the middle of the season when that happened. This year, he's got over 900 yards rushing. I mean, it's not like he didn't have almost 1,000 yards in the games that he did play. So I think you're going to see that Tennessee is going to be in a really good spot here at home. And I'm going to go with the 28-20. Tennessee's going to win the game.
I agree. I love Joe. Joe was great to me during Fantasy World. Jamar Chase was great to me. I'll match their 3 wide receivers against anyone in the NFL. You're rolling out T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Tyler Boyd. I will match that 3 against anyone, and I won't blink an eye. It's going to be interesting how Henry looks and how they use them. I mean, let's be honest here. They could literally use him as a decoy if they wanted to. You said they rank last against the pass and the first down. You play action pass every first down to Henry and throw the damn ball. And if you're setting up second and short, third and a yard against this Tennessee team, you're going to be in trouble. It's going to be a long, long day. And then, Joe's going to have to play keep up. And not that he can't do it. And listen, no discredit to the Bengals and what they've done. I just think when you look at this game, it's not that we're discrediting the Bengals. Can they win this game? 100%, absolutely, without a doubt. But I don't think the Titans are getting enough respect as the number 1 seed. If it was the Bills or the Chiefs with Mahomes or Josh Allen as the number 1 seed, we'd be praising, we'd be kissing the rings, we'd be bowing.
The number wouldn't be 4 either.
Exactly. And the fact that the Titans coming off a bye, fresh, adding Henry at home, AJ Brown on one side and Julio on the other. I mean, listen, I think it's going to be a fun game. I too lean the Titans figuring out how to use that. So we're in agreement there. Let's go to round 2, game 2. 49ers at the Packers, rotation number 303, 304. That will be your 8:15 start at the frozen Tundra. of Lambeau Field. We will use 5.5. We're going to use the Packers minus 5 and a hook, and under over of 47 and a half, Scott, all across the Vegas Strip. So we'll use 47 and a hook and Packers 5 and a hook.
Yeah, this is one of those games I don't think people are going to like me much. I think people think Green Bay is this juggernaut team, and I think you agree that they're not a juggernaut team, but they're gonna win games, and they do win games. And when you start to think about who's going to beat them, it's kind of hard to really pick somebody to beat them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at it from a perspective of it's going to be damn cold there. It's the coldest game on the board. It says 10 degrees, but the feel in the game is -3. So it's not going to be like one of those most comfortable afternoons to go sit and watch a football game. But I think, obviously Green Bay's used to that. And I would be willing to bet you at this point, I've seen, San Francisco play in a lot of these cold weather places. And there's some things here that I think let's put it this way. If you're going to take Shanahan or you're going to take what's the name of LaFleur, right, for Green Bay, and you were just going to pick whoever you wanted, and you're going to say these are going to be one over the other one, who would you take as the better head coach?
For me, it's Shanahan.
Yeah, I don't think there's a question. I think it's obvious, and I think that not only is it obvious, I think that in a game like this, it comes to fruition in the forefront, because the team that San Francisco is they are we're going to go beat you up team. We're going to out physical you. We're going to beat you up. And the way the Packers win is they don't beat up anybody. They get Aaron Rodgers to go back there and be some superhuman quarterback. That's how they win the games. So I don't think you can game plan against Aaron Rodgers' performances, but I do think that you can game plan and control your performances. So what I mean by that is Green Bay's defense isn't the best defense in the world. So let me give you some numbers. So Green Bay's offense is number 3 rushing the football. Would you believe that's number 3 since week 10? What's that kid's name now that runs for them?
Dylan?
Yes, Dylan. I kept thinking of the other guy. Now Dylan's taken over and he's done pretty damn well. And they are number 2 passing the football. So this is a great offense. Okay, well, guess who's number 1 against a run? It's San Francisco. Mm-hmm. They can stop the run. And then they are number 9 against the pass. So that's a very, very, very good matchup, right? So I mean, their defense matches up pretty good. And I don't. The only thing that I'm going to say in retrospect to where Green Bay has some edges here is obviously the quarterback for Green Bay is something else. But and this could probably be said about most teams. Nobody can cover Adams. I mean, that's just the way it is. San Francisco doesn't have a cornerback that's going to be able to match up with him one-on-one, and they can put another guy over there. They might not be able to bracket him either. So he's going to get his, and he did in the first game. He got 12, I think it was 12 targets, 10 catches, something like that, or maybe it was 12 catches. I don't know, somewhere in there, 130 yards, something like that. And the first game that they played, San Francisco had the lead with 37 seconds to go in the game. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but that's what happened. They had 37 seconds to go in the game. They had the lead. And by more than enough, where a field goal wasn't going to help Green Bay. Well, Aaron Rodgers goes down, scores a touchdown with 37 seconds to go in the game, and they win. So that can be the issue, right? Okay, so keep that in mind as we go along here. What's the spread, Jeff? 5.5, right?
We're using 5 and a hook.
Okay, so in that first game, then Green Bay obviously won the game. They wouldn't have covered that 5.5 number that we have now. And what's the difference? Everybody's talking about Jimmy G and his shoulder and his thumb and his this and his that. And I always think of Jimmy G as it's up here with that guy. He can't make this stupid play. He can, and it was we talked about it last week, that Dallas game. The 49ers had that game up and down all the way around. But then they tried to give it away, and Dallas said, I don't want it. Here, have it back. They just kept going back and forth like that. They can't do that against Green Bay. So I don't think they will. I think Shanahan's got a secret, and I shouldn't say a secret weapon because he's not that anymore. But Debo is something else. You can talk about Mitchell and all those guys that run the football for San Francisco, but it's Debo's world over there. And I think that he's going to be able to game plan him. And the truth is, Green Bay doesn't have a way to stop it. They don't have nothing to stop him. So I think there's going to end up being two ways to play this game. So we just talked about how San Francisco matches up to Green Bay on offense or on Green Bay's offense versus their defense. But we didn't talk about it the other way. So San Francisco ranks 8th running the football without really a running back. And they rank 4th throwing the football. Would it surprise you if I told you that since week 10 that the Green Bay Packers rank 28th in rush defense? Kind of surprised me a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't think they were going to be that far down, for God's sakes. And they rank middle of the pack 16th on pass defense, which kind of makes sense to me. So who's got the edge there? That's all San Francisco. Not even close. It's an all edge San Francisco. And you got a head coach that makes that happen. And if you got a quarterback that's ailing or a quarterback that can't do certain things, I don't think that he would play if he couldn't throw the football. So I think he's going to be able to throw the football. But I think you're going to have a head coach that designs plays, runs plays, that designs a game plan that puts him in a scenario where he drops back, hits 3 steps, and there goes the ball. He won't have to think much. He's just going to pick it, bam, 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 and the ball's going to go out. So I think they're going to be able to move the football. I don't think the weather is going to be something that hurts the scoring in this game. My number comes out in this game 28-27, which is going to be more than the 47.5 points. And I also have it with San Francisco actually winning the game.
I'll tell you this right now. If San Fran wins this game, they're going to the Super Bowl. I don't care who's standing in front of them next week. The Rams or Tom. There is absolutely zero doubt in my mind.
So let me ask you this question. If you're the Green Bay Packers and you have the choice of wanting to play in this game right here today, if you could have your choice today, if you wanted to play the Rams, the Buccaneers, or the 49ers, who would your choice be?
I guarantee you they'd say the Rams.
It would certainly be the last choice is the 49ers.
100%. No one wants to play this team. No one wants.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying it that way, and I'm talking about it this way because the truth is that the 49ers are probably better than what people are giving them credit for because they don't have that Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. But what people aren't really looking at is their Aaron Rodgers is the head coach. He's that good. He's truly that good. And then on the other side, you got LaFleur over there, and I don't think he's going to be in it. He's outclassed. And I get it. He does some things that are pretty good, but he needs Aaron Rodgers to be Aaron Rodgers, or they're going to lose. That's what's going to happen. They're going to lose the game if Aaron Rodgers has an off day. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't play very well and has those, they're not going to win. So he has to be almost perfect and play a perfect game, or they're going to lose the game.
You know, I was watching and listening to some of the, I'll say, so-called experts, big platforms, big stages, talk about Dallas. And they tried to dissect why the 49ers won, whether it was McCarthy, whether it was the 14 penalties. And then you get some people digging real deep, and they were like, look who Dallas beat. They beat up on the Eagles. They beat up on the Giants. They beat up on the Washington football team. Scotty, can you just tell me the three teams in the NFC North?
Well, yeah. I mean, they play the Vikings, the Lions, and the Bears.
Exactly. No one talks about that. Now, listen. I know that the Packers had some great wins on the road. I know they've already beat the Niners. I know they went to Kansas City. Was it Kansas City or Baltimore? No, they went to Kansas City without Rodgers. Was that right? And then they went to the Ravens too. I'm just doing this off the top of my head. My point here is this: I think Shanahan plus Jimmy G is greater than LaFleur plus Rodgers, even though Rodgers clearly is the better side. If you took if I asked you to rank the final four coaches in the NFC right now, I think Shanahan and McVay would be 1-2, obviously. I think LaFleur his record is phenomenal, and it's because of Rodgers. I mean, let's just backtrack to the championship game last year, and he pooped himself not once, not twice, but three times in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Okay. So I think Arians is only where he is, obviously, because of Tom. LaFleur is only where he is because of Rodgers. So my point is the Shanahan McVay card, big time trump over the other two coaches. So here's my dilemma. Again, preseason August, September tickets for the Niners, NFC champs, Super Bowl champs. Green Bay plus 375 to win the Super Bowl. Some got it around 350. That was 350, 375. Obviously, more weight for the Niners. I mean, they're a lot higher odds in August and September. But the one scenario that I'm just a little nervous of is, the Packers get out early, rested. Devontae Adams scores, and then, it's Aaron Jones out of the backfield. It's A.J. Dillon, and then in comes Lazard. There's no MSV. By the way, Riley Magnuson at Talking the Line was on with us yesterday afternoon, and he talked about props. Anyone watching and listening right now, take a look at your book props for Alan Lazard. He will now become, I'm not saying he's Devontae Adams, but he will, Randall Cobb is returning as well, but you can get Alan Lazard at like plus 180 for an anytime touchdown, maybe. His receiving yards were like 46 yards. So Riley was all in on the over on all Alan Lazard props. But here's what I'm saying is this game on paper is the second best game. I could actually say this is the best game of the weekend in my eyes. I know Buffalo, Kansas City is just going to be, here's the ball, who has it last. And it's going to be a fun game. The Rams, Buccaneers, I think it's going to end up being a slugfest. It's going to be, does the Tampa O-line hold up? And does Stafford make any big mistakes? And I know we're not talking about Sunday games, but just looking at it, that San Fran, Green Bay, we talk tomorrow morning. And if the final score is Green Bay 31 and the 49ers 13, would I be surprised? I wouldn't. Let's say fumble, Jimmy G pick, and Devontae 9 for 138 and 2. I wouldn't be shocked there, Scotty.
No, I got it. But what if Aaron Rodgers goes 19 for 34, 190 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception?
I think you got a 27-24 ball game.
So I only use those numbers because that's what Jordan Love did against the Chiefs in that game. I just pulled it up and I'm looking at the box score and I'm like, well, what if he does this? Because that's not really like what Aaron Rodgers does, right? But I mean, he's not perfect, and he has those games where he's just like, who in the hell is that at quarterback? For God's sakes, some masked guy out there with now he's got hippie hair and he's got that old flowing shit in the back now. I don't know what he looks like, but it don't look like Aaron Rodgers to me much. But anyway, that being said, he isn't always Mr. Consistency 100% every single time out there. Now, he's pretty damn close, but he's not always that way. And if this happens to be one of those games. Now, the other thing that is interesting in this matchup is San Francisco can pressure that quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I think that obviously Aaron Rodgers can move around and all that stuff, but he's older than he used to be, and he's not necessarily the Josh Allen of the league who's going to take off and run the football and they're going to call end rounds for him and all that stuff. But I don't think you want that. I think you want him throwing the football as many times as you can. But you want to offset that pass rush with the defense against the run, and they're number one against the run. So I just think the matchup here is what makes this attractive for the 49ers. And I'm not saying that they wouldn't match up to the Bucs or that they wouldn't match up to some of these other teams, but I do think that they can out-physical the Green Bay Packers. I don't know that they can out-physical the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are a very physical football team. They go out there and beat you up. So the Packers don't really play that way. They don't have that kind of a thought process from the head coach. So I like the matchup for the 49ers. I think the 49ers, if they had a chance to choose to whoever they wanted to play, I think in their mind they got to go, okay, I covered Devontae Adams. I let my defense be number one against the run, and I put pressure on the quarterback. We can win this game. They're not playing, like Tampa Bay's got the number one pass offense blocking offensive line. So if they were to match up against one, you're almost going to see that tomorrow when the Rams play them. They're going to have a good defensive pass rush against the Bucs offensive line. And I will tell you this about the Bucs offensive line. Number one, Tristan Wirfs is not wearing a boot no more. He is physically at practice. He did practice yesterday. He is not showing limping anywhere. So that's all good news for him. And Jensen, the center, who wasn't as badly injured as Wirfs was, had no issues at all. And he's I don't know what Wirfs is going to be. I mean, Arians is playing this stupid, well, you're not going to know who's going to be available until 90 minutes before game time shit. Anyway, they're going to be there. They're going to play. Fournette's going to be activated. He's going to play, that kind of stuff. So anyway, that being said, the difference in this game is that the Green Bay Packers offensive line is not the same as it is for the Bucs, but they do get Bakhtiari back today, and he's one of the best left tackles in football. I don't know if it's going to be like, hey, I fell off the bike, I can get back on and be the good left tackle again, coming back here because he hasn't played for so long. But I like San Francisco here. I think that it's the right way to go. I think you can ask yourself these questions about almost any game, And I'm going to ask you this question. So the Buffalo Bills game tomorrow, and I know we're not getting into this game deep yet. So Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs. Can the Buffalo Bills answer what the Kansas City Chiefs can give them? In other words, you got Mahomes at the quarterback, and you got these guys that can run the football. Can Buffalo handle the running game? And can Buffalo handle the wide receivers in the passing game?
Can they handle it? They've already done it once, but they caught Kansas City in that start of the funk. Okay. Can they handle it? Yeah, I think that the mindset as well is it's one of these, if you get into the track meet mindset saying, okay, anything Pat can do, we know Josh can do better. You get that mentality, who has the ball less. Can they? Yes. I
Okay,
guess.
so flip it over. Flip it over the other way now. Can Kansas City answer everything Buffalo can do? My answer is no.
Okay. So you're saying no. We'll get into this tomorrow. I think that honestly, they're two mirrored teams.
They're pretty close, but I'm going to tell you that the rushing attack for Buffalo is better than the running attack for Kansas City. The passing game's pretty equal. I mean, I get it. Mahomes has been around the block, and Josh hasn't. But Josh does things Mahomes can't, and the defense for Buffalo can do things that the defense for Kansas City can't. So, if you just ask yourself the question, if all things are firing, can they do it? The answer is yes, Buffalo can match up. If you ask the question about Kansas City, can they do it? The answer is no. Buffalo has to play worse. If they both play the same level, Buffalo's better.
Back in the NBA, back in the day when the NBA was the NBA, you had to beat the champ. It usually took you a couple years, okay? And once you knock off that team, it's your turn.
So do you think Buffalo thinks that the Chiefs are that team or the Patriots are that team?
Well, no. Here's where I'm going. Last year's AFC Championship game was Buffalo at Kansas City, okay? And we know Kansas City won and went on to the Super Bowl. They already played in the regular season, which I could give a rat's ass about that game. I don't care. That is two teams that were playing in two different directions. And I think the Bills used that game as their, okay, we'll show you. Okay. But my point is the number was set at 1.5. That was the opening number. Vegas made a statement. They're telling us it's changing of the guard time. Okay? Because let me ask you this. If this game was at Buffalo, what's the spread?
Oh, I think Buffalo's favored in that game, and I think they're probably favored at least by a field goal.
I was going to say 2.5. It's going to start there. Vegas they're all set. And what I'm having a hard time getting past is, like you said, they've been there. I'm not saying Josh Allen isn't the next coming to, he is great. He's great. They have their last handful of weeks, their running attack has gotten a lot better. Devin Singletary has really stepped it up. We know what Diggs can do. Knox has had an amazing year for them. Their defense is great. I just, you talk about going against Rodgers at home, and you look at a chance to the Chiefs, Mahomes, Arrowhead. God.
So, would it surprise you if I told you that the Buffalo Bills defense is number 1 in the NFL against opposing wide receivers? Because they are.
Okay, well, can I throw a little poop on that stat?
Sure.
Other than Jalen Waddle, give me a wide receiver in the AFC East. In other words, the Patriots don't have any. The Jets
No, I get it.
don't have any. And the Dolphins have Waddle. So I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm just saying it can be a little skewed, because they have the best wide receiver in the AFC East with Diggs.
So they have played teams that's got good wide receiver. They played the Chiefs, right? They got all kinds of wide receivers. They played the Titans. They got wide receivers.
They had one wide receiver there, AJ Brown, when they played him.
That he was the only one. Let's see, Brown. Let's go. Where is this game? Here it is. AJ Brown and Julio Jones both played in that game.
Julio played. It had to be early in the year. He didn't play many games.
That they both played in that game. Actually, Julio Jones caught 3 passes for 59 yards, by the way.
Have a parade.
I know, right? So, and that game was October the 18th they played. They played who else did they play? They played the Bucks. The Bucks had wide receivers. They played the Patriots twice. They didn't really have any wide receivers. And now they're going to play the Chiefs again. I don't consider the Jets, the Falcons, they don't got any wide receivers. The Panthers, they don't got any wide receivers. The Dolphins, the Steelers. Dolphins got that new kid. Yeah. The Steelers, and that was opening day, so they might have had some of their guys there that day. Redskins, they don't have anybody. Washington football team, sorry. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here. I just said Buffalo, right? Yeah, that's who they played. So I get that. But it's still one of those spots where they're going to cover and they're going to do well. They are number 6 against opposing teams' tight ends, and they are number 5 against opposing teams' running backs out of the backfield. Kansas City is number 30 against running backs out of the backfield. So I think you can exploit that and take away whatever kind of pass rush that they're going to try to put on. Plus, you're going to be able to put Josh Allen on the corners or on the ends. And I think you're going to be able to do some damage here. I think I don't think Kansas City can do the same things Buffalo can do to them. And I think it's the same question that I just asked about the other, about San Francisco and about Green Bay. I think if Pat Mahomes isn't magic Pat Mahomes, they're not going to win the game.
No, and we're going to get into that tomorrow. I want to just get everyone up to speed at noon here for the tip-off of some college games. And then we'll be back tomorrow on that. Quick, the Rutgers, Minnesota has flipped to Rutgers -3. Minnesota, one of their best players, is out. So Rutgers opened 1.5 now. I'm sorry, Minnesota opened 1.5 now. Rutgers -3 because of that. Don't go to run to the window because of that. When we were talking last Saturday, the same thing happened, I think, in the Michigan State game, and you would have had egg on your face there. West Virginia, Texas Tech. Texas Tech opened at 8.5. It's 7.5 at Westgate and 7.5 at Caesars. Some money coming in on Texas, kind of still stay away from there. Virginia Tech 5.5 at BC. The game I really want to talk about, and it's reverse line movement. It's late money. It's steam. Do I believe it or not? Seton Hall at St. John's, rotation number 611, 612. Seton Hall was favored by 3. They are now favored by 1. There is a few 1.5s. 50% of the bets, 78% of the money, all in on Seton Hall, yet the number is down to 1.5. So I'm not buying it, but I'm not taking the other side either. The Johnnies are a Jekyll and Hyde team. Seton Hall, again, one of these must-win situations. I'm staying away. But it's reverse line movement. The bells are ringing on the Johnnies, so keep an eye there. Nova favored by 14.5 against Georgetown. This Georgetown team, I don't know if Pat will be around next year. This 1:00 game, I'm going to end right here with this 1:00 game. It's caught my eye. Rotation number 621, 622, Vanderbilt at Florida. Florida, again, finally gets a win and a cover late this week. They've been another question mark Jekyll and Hyde team. They're hosting Vanderbilt. Opened at 6.5. It's 6 at Circa. Flat 6.5 everywhere else. 70% of the bets, 86% of the money, all in on Florida. Yet there's a line freeze and even a reverse line movement at Circa. So keep an eye on Vanderbilt here. Plus the 6.5. They got to be plus 200 on the money line there. So I'm going to end it with that. Scotty, closing thoughts.
Let's have some fun today. Let's watch some two games that ought to be interesting. I think they'll be fun. And then I think these are going to lead into some good games next week too. So I'm pretty happy with the teams that are there that made it through. I didn't like last week's games nearly as well. I mean, we kind of nailed those games when we were talking about them. But I still think there's some clear delineation here. But we'll see. I mean, obviously I'm seeing certain things certain ways, and we'll see how it kind of plays out. But have some fun today. And just remember this, though. Just because it's an important NFL football game doesn't mean it's an important, more so bet than you're making today than you're going to bet tomorrow's game or Monday's game, or if you bet a basketball game today, it doesn't have to be any more or any less important than the one that you're going to bet on the football game. So the money's the money. That's the whole thing. So you're not going to go out there and spend $100,000 betting on this game, and then you're going to go spend $10 betting on a basketball game. That's not the way it's going to work. So just have some fun with it.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So remember this, peoples. Always wager and invest responsibly. Stay in your lane. Have some fun. Okay, but we're here to educate, not entertain. If we crack a smile or a joke, that's a bonus for us. But listen, if you have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number right out there. Ask for help. Why? Because we care. We want you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. Myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, Scotty Webb at Webby20MLB on Twitter. We thank you. Enjoy the day. Have some fun. Cash some tickets. And we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning.